Hello, my name is Tom. I'm a 27-year-old from the north of England. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you what's actually keeping you stuck in your porn addiction. So what's the real reason that you keep on going back to porn, even though you're probably trying to stop engaging in this behavior? Now, when I was younger, before the Beyond Compulsion method, I honestly believed that I was looking at porn due to maybe boredom in my life, stress, anxiety, and feeling a lot of shame. Now, what I did is I went on a bit of a mission, and I was trying to overcome these problems in my life. I'd meditate very often, built a really busy life, and I would do things to try and deal with the shame in a healthier, better way. Reading a lot of Brené Brown and other experts on things like shame and stress. Now, what happened is I managed to deal with these problems a little bit, but I kept on relapsing. And the truth is, these things here, they weren't causing me to relapse. They weren't the real reason. And a few years ago, I started to do some volunteering at a charity called the Samaritans. Really good charity here. Help people think through their thoughts around a very, very challenging thing in their life. We don't need to go into it too much, but I would talk to people with all kinds of very extreme emotions. Some people would be in a really, really bad mental state. And I heard things like, I heard stories of them experiencing stress, experiencing anxiety, experiencing a lot of shame, other things as well, loneliness, tiredness, exhaustion, depression, and all kinds of problems. Now, how many of those people do you think struggled with a porn addiction? Well, not many. I don't think I ever even spoke to anyone who struggled with a porn addiction. Sure, there were some people struggling with all kinds of different addictive, compulsive behaviors, but there were so many who didn't have any compulsive behaviors, any addictions in their life at all. And yet they were experiencing a lot of the same emotions, which I believed at one point in my life were causing me to watch porn. But is it possible to experience stress and not end up watching porn? Is it possible to experience boredom and not end up watching porn? Well, yes, of course. There's millions of people who do that every day in and day out. And the problem with this way of thinking is what happens is, let's say you do deal with the shame really well somehow, and maybe you get a bit more comfortable talking about porn use. And for me, I've always felt quite a lot of shame after watching porn. But let's say you do master that. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to be a new reason. Maybe it's loneliness, okay? So there'll be a new reason all the time. And the reason for this is because what goes on in addiction is we look for reasons. We're trying to justify, excuse, and rationalize what's going on. Because to us, it doesn't really make sense. There's a really strong part of us, the rational part of the mind, which wants to stop this behavior. So why do we keep on doing this thing? Well, let's keep it really simple. Essentially, what happens is, you grow up and you're quite young. Maybe you're 12 years old, let's say. And for years, you start watching porn. Okay, so what happens is we have this repetition. We're continually watching porn, and then let's say we get a bit older, maybe we're 27, and for years and years we've been repeatedly watching porn. And due to that repetition, we wire part of our brain to want to watch porn. So we get a bit older, and now we want to watch porn. Nothing else really in the world hits our brain like porn does. But then we watch it and we feel terrible, we have all this shame, we feel so down, and then we go, okay, well, why did I watch it? It's because of the stress, it's because of the shame, it's because of the loneliness that I was feeling before I watched it. But it's actually engaging in the behavior, being stuck in this cycle of wanting to do something, wanting to stop doing it. It's being stuck in that conflict, which is causing most of these reasons that we're then looking to explain why we're engaging in the behavior. So basically what I'm trying to say here is it's being in the addiction, which is causing people to feel the loneliness, to feel the boredom, to feel the stress, to feel the anxiety. But most people are going about things in the wrong order. So they're going to therapy. And I've worked with so many guys now who have been to therapy for years and years and years. They're trying to deal with all these reasons that they're watching porn, but the therapist isn't really taking into account the context of the addiction, the context that they've grown up in a pretty crazy society where porn is normalized and their brain has become wired to watch porn. Now think about, every day since, you were very young, you've probably been brushing your teeth. If tonight you said to yourself, okay, I'm not going to brush my teeth, what would happen? Well, you're probably going to go into your bathroom and you're still going to want to brush your teeth because your brain is just wired in a certain way. And so what we really need to start doing, if we're going to start to actually overcome this problem, is understand that we do want to engage in this behavior. Absolutely nothing wrong with us for wanting to engage in the behavior. And we start to think through the choice. Now, our clients specifically do this using a very, very personalized, specific template, a script. So what we would do is, instead of going, okay, I want to watch porn because I'm stressed, I'm lonely, I'm bored, etc., etc., what we would do instead is just acknowledge, okay, well, my mind's involved in a psychological, emotional dependency, and a mind's moved on to an experience. There's nothing wrong with me for that. I was very young when I developed these neural pathways. Instead, we just accepted that I want to engage in this behavior right now. And we would think through the choice using a very, very specific 5-fact script. Okay? And when you do this repeatedly, time after time after time, it's literally an A4 piece of paper that you read through. This is based on a very thorough education on the addictive part of the mind and its addictive neural pathways and what's actually going on in the brain, the thought patterns. When you do this repeatedly, time after time after time, it changes these neural pathways. And then you get to a position where you feel very, very comfortable talking about this problem in front of anyone, really, because it just becomes a thing of the past. It's not to say you're never going to have the desires again, but what you realize is wanting to engage in the behavior is absolutely fine. And it's only because you have these addictive neural pathways, because of the psychological, emotional dependency on his mind, mood, alternate experience. And there's always a space between the wanting and how we respond. So there's always going to be a space here between how we respond and the desire. So we're going to have this desire regardless, no matter what. That's going to happen because of these addictive neural pathways. But there's a space here, and this is where our clients would use a 5-fact script, which is designed by me and Mary Portis. Well, by Mary Portis, who taught me the Beyond Compulsion method. Think through with the script, and then they can respond in a rational way using logic, using like the prefrontal cortex, if you want to get neuroscientific about it. Think through using that script, and then we can make a rational choice in that moment and then move on with their day. So that's what we do. Very, very clear, direct, simple way to deal with the addictive part of the mind and overcome this problem. We don't go around in circles trying to deal with all these different things in our life that are actually being caused by the addiction. Simplicity, clarity, very direct. And then you get to have the peace of mind and freedom that you're probably looking for. Cheers for listening to this video. Hopefully it's useful, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.